Thanks for joining me, everyone.
Yeah, happy to. Are you in Roanoke?
I'm here in Roanoke. I am. Um, and I prepared a few questions. I didn't know everyone was going to be here, but I think we can still work with it. And so I'll start off. I understand this is the first Wooten Brothers Band tour since 2010, and the first since your brother Rudy passed away, who played saxophone in the band. I was hoping you would start off by saying a few words about your brother Rudy.
Absolutely. I have you on speaker, so you let me know if I cut in and out.
Absolutely. Sounds good right now.
Okay, good. Yeah. Our brother Rudy, and if somebody else chimes in, we'll let you know who's talking.
Beautiful.
This is Victor at the moment. Our brother Rudy was a special person and a special musician. He was the third born of the five. So he was right in the middle of us five. The ages are Regi. I'm sorry, the order is Regi as the oldest guitar, Roy on drums is next, and then Rudy was born. And Regi, Roy, and Rudy are all a year apart from each other, so they're really close in age. So, and then 3 years later, Joseph was born. 3 years after that, um, I was born. So Rudy, um, I think for Joseph and me, Rudy always seemed like the same age as Regi and Roy. They were like the same. Uh, yeah, sort of like not sort of like Joseph was saying, like one child almost. But they were, of course, they were different personalities and everything. But they seemed like the same. They were all like the same age, big brother to us.
Sure.
But Rudy just seemed to be good immediately. I mean, like really good. I could just remember asking Rudy, how do you solo through chord changes? How do you solo in jazz? And he would say, you'll get it one day. You'll get it. But Rudy was always honest and very, very kind. Well, I mean, we were all that way, but Rudy had a childlike thing to him, that made you feel good, and he really cared. But his musical ability was always at a very high level.
Yeah, and this is Roy, and I can add that when we were um, just coming out of high school, going into college, we got a chance to study with Consuela Lee Moorhead, who was Spike Lee's aunt. Wow. She
Wow.
was a great jazz pianist, and Herbie Hancock really thought a lot of her. He was really inspired by her and a pianist named Chris Anderson. And Consuela, when she was working with us with jazz, we were really good soul musicians, and she was teaching us about jazz. But when she heard Rudy play, Rudy, I think he's still in high school, and she said that Rudy is ready for New York now. Out of all five of us, he was ready for the New York jazz scene and, from high school, like a Kobe Bryant or somebody.
Right.
Kept saying that Rudy's ready for New York right now. So that's how good Rudy was. Yeah. So
That's
we're looking forward, letting people hear a lot of our old music that we found. Victor will tell you about that. There's a lot of old music that we wrote when we were kids, and it's going to feature Rudy. So Rudy was a big feature in our show. So he played two saxophones, like Rashawn Roland Kirk. He played a C melody saxophone, which was almost like a tenor saxophone, which had that Coltrane sound. He really loved John Coltrane because John Coltrane was so advanced. And then he loved Charlie Parker, who was really super advanced. And also Cannonball Adderley, who was like Charlie Parker, but super funky. And so Rudy was just really steeped in that, and he just really had something special. So I just want to add that so you can get a sense of how good he was. He was ready to go pro out of high school, according to Consuela E. Moorhead.
Thank you so much. That's great. On the new album, there are going to be old songs featuring Rudy as well as new material on there.
Exactly. This is Victor again. That's our plan, is to kind of alternate. We just released a new song called Sweat.
Yes, great song. I
So
was
the
able to
next song,
listen.
I appreciate that, Jason. Thank you. The next song that we release will be an old one that we just kind of found a bunch of material that was professionally recorded with all of us. So we'll do an old one next, and then another new one, and then probably another old one.
Wonderful. On the single "Sweat" that I was able to hear, it's upbeat and danceable. Is the are the other songs in that same territory, or do you cover more sonic ground than that and dip into different genres as you go?
Well, depending on how you like to dance, they'll all be danceable.
I like that.
But we grew up mixing funk and jazz and a lot of other styles like rock. So yeah, I think you'll be able to hear that kind of those styles in all of it.
Very good. And Victor, I talked to several people around Roanoke and sourced a few questions, and these are open to your brothers as well, of course, but I wanted to get your thoughts. One of them was from Jake Dempsey, who I think you worked with at the Jefferson Center Music Lab on a Hope Claiborne song a few years ago.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And so Jake wanted to know, what is your headspace on stage during a performance?
Believe it or not, it's not a whole lot different than it is on a daily basis. My approach is I just bring my life to the stage. I just get a chance to express my life musically now. So it's not like I change characters or anything, but I do go into performance mode.
What is that?
Because my life is so public, I'm quite a bit more private off the stage. But on stage, I go into performance mode, and I realize that the audience is the boss because they're the ones that are paying. So my goal is to give them what they want. So I'm always tuning into them. But for me, it's just my way of expressing life. So my goal, I think I can speak for all the brothers, is our goal is to lead the best life possible, make people happy, make the world better. And with music, we get to do it in even bigger way, a more direct way, where we get people from all walks of life in the same building. So now we get to speak to everybody and kind of show people how life can be.
I think that's a beautiful approach to it. And when I was thinking through it, thinking through this interview, I remembered one of my poetry teachers at Roanoke College, Melanie Allmeter, gave me a sheet of notes by Steve Lacy while he was playing in Thelonious Monk's band. And one of the quotes from it is, "Tap your foot and sing the melody in your head while you play." And while I was watching videos of you, it struck me that you're always doing that when you're on stage, during your solos, during quiet parts, during the steady parts, during the heavy parts too. And I was just curious, how does your philosophy of playing fit with what Monk was describing?
Yeah, I believe that for sure. My body's kind of like dancing unconsciously to the groove of the song. That's what really helps me play in time, and not just in time, but in what we might call in the groove or in the pocket. Your body always knows how to move. You don't have to ask questions. So my body's moving to the groove. I kind of feel what the changes are. In other words, is this minor and funky? Is it whatever? But what's carrying me through it a lot of the time is the melody in my head also. So I think all three of those are going at the same time. The groove, the feeling of the chord changes. Not so much what's the name of the chord, but the feeling of the chords. And then that melody is like that central line that carries you through it.
Very cool.
So yeah, you're right. That is going through my head, but some of the other stuff is going through my body.
I like that. Do you feel the head and body differentiation when you're on stage, or it's all sort of coalescing into one as you're performing?
I only feel them separately when I need to. it's sort of like, am I focused on my right hand, on my left hand, on my right foot, or my left foot when I'm playing basketball? It's the whole thing, you know. And I'm not that good of a basketball player, by the way, but it's the whole thing until you need to separate.
Absolutely. And Victor, I know you have the Center for Music and Nature, and part of that is the summer camps where it looks like you educate a lot of children. And I was able to speak to a young up and coming musician from Roanoke named Ben Mesco. And Ben wanted to know, for someone who is trying to find their sound on bass guitar, what is the most beneficial thing to practice?
I would say the most beneficial thing would be to play with people as much as possible. Ben was able to find his own speaking voice, not by sitting in a room practicing, but by talking to people. And a lot of people hear me say that, and they think I say, don't practice. A lot of people hear me say that I don't really enjoy practicing. And a lot of people take that to hear me. They think I'm saying, I don't practice. No, practice is necessary. You know, I just rather be playing than practicing, but I know the necessity of practicing, so I do it. But my main thing would say you'll grow the fastest, in my opinion, if you play a lot and practice a little. And in other words, it's the same way you learn to talk. You talk to people. Right? But even you'll hear a baby practicing. You'll hear a baby sitting around figuring out their voice, making sounds and seeing how it works. So it's all important. But my suggestion would be to find ways to play with people. And what you can't do when you're playing, you'll know what to practice. It's sort of like learning a language. Speak it with people. And that'll help you figure out what more you need to practice. So I'll go with play with people.
I like that. And I'll open this one up to everyone. You all, I believe, grew up in Newport News, Virginia, or spent a lot of time there, at least as a family. And I read that you all did a stint playing country music at Busch Gardens. Is that right?
That is very, very true. We all did. Yeah. All four of us did. Rudy, I don't think Rudy did, but yes, the four of us did.
Very cool. What was that experience like?
Experience? Yeah, this is Joseph.
Hey, Joseph.
How you doing, man? Good morning.
Doing great, thank you.
Experience was fun. By the time we started playing in the country show together, we had been playing in different parts of the park, like my brother Roy had played in the Oompa band, the German Oompa band over there. And then he came over and played in the Italian show with me. I played the accordion in the Italian show for a couple of years, did a couple of USO tours before we wound up doing the country show at Busch Gardens in the 80s. So it was a lot of fun. Little did we know that we were sort of, you know, in a way, practicing to move to Nashville. And we didn't really know that we were going to wind up in Nashville. We were just playing music. It wasn't challenging because it was country. So, it was just for us just another chance to play music. But it was fun doing it. It was fun doing it together, and we enjoyed watching the people marvel at the fact that we were brothers.
Jason, this is Victor again.
Yes, sir.
When I worked at Busch Gardens, I was in the country show first. I don't mean the first of the brothers, but that was the first show I did. I was actually the last of the brothers to get there. But what it taught me a lot. Where every time I played with my brothers, I felt totally free to play what I wanted. Even though I knew the bass line of the song, I had freedom. When we played as brothers, we were so energetic. We played fast and things like that. I had to learn a lot of control in the country show. because we would play 4 to 8 shows a day, and they didn't want the show to change at all.
Wow.
So I had to learn how to enjoy that. So I can literally remember thinking, I'm either going to die musically or learn to grow from this. And I chose the latter. And I learned a whole lot. I mean, the difference between a whole note and a whole note. You know, I learned the whole world that exists in a quarter note or a whole note, and how changing it affected the whole feel of the song. You know, and the main thing too is I learned to love country and bluegrass music, where before I thought I hated it. And we could do a whole interview just on that, on what we all learned at Busch Gardens. The main thing I'll say again is, not again, but I'll say also, is that Busch Gardens really taught me how to play with other people other than my brothers and our close friends that jammed in the garage. I was with strangers playing a strange style of music, and strangely enough, they wanted us to never change how we played it. That was totally opposite of how I grew up. But I learned to do it, and I became a better musician because of it.
Very cool. Do you still use any of those techniques or anything you picked up in that experience in playing today?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think we're all much better musicians because we learned how to play outside of our 5-brother unit.
Very cool. And some of the people I talked to, Victor, are local musicians who have established themselves pretty well, and I can feel the concern for trying to make it as a professional and keep doing it. And a couple of those were JoJo Stockton and Foster Burton. And from the viewpoint of a professional musician, in Foster's words, what is the future of music? Is there going to be a network and an outlet for people? And are people going to be able to, continue progressing as musicians? I know there's scary things on the horizon like AI and so forth. And just wanted to get your thoughts on the future.
I think you just really have to look around and it'll tell you. Music's thriving. It doesn't mean that we're making money from it in the same way that we used to. It doesn't even mean that we're getting our music in the same way that we used to. But there is no less music. Sometimes it may seem like the music's not good because we're hearing it all. It used to be that we only heard the best. Radio only played the best. But now we have access to all of it, so it seems like it may not be as good, but I believe it is, and I believe the future is in good hands.
Do you think it's a good thing that we can hear so much music, even if it's not the cream of the crop sometimes?
Well, this is Joseph. Every generation creates a new group of people that thinks that their new music is the best.
Sure.
And the last it wasn't as good. And that will, it's always been that way. But as I see it, young people still have a desire to risk it all for a chance to be on the stage. Right? There's something innate in people about a chance to express themselves and have other people receive what they believe in. So I think in that sense, music will be good. Now, it changes. Now, in the old days, you used to have to be able to sing in tune. Now a computer can fix it, right? That changes things. It does, and who knows where that will head. But I feel that people need music. Music is just the differences of sounds in context, and people need that context in music, and they need it in life too. That's why I think music is going to be okay.
I love to hear it. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is Roy Wooten. I think that music now is in a point where, because when we grew up, we had to learn things from records. We couldn't see the artists. But now people can just dial up their favorite artists on YouTube and watch them and slow it down in pitch. So you see a lot of young people assimilating a lot of information. And I think as we go forward with AI, a lot of it, I think as we go forward with AI, what it means to be human is going to become more and more important and more precious, I think. And what I mean by that is, what it means to be human means, like, if you see a Picasso painting or something like that, you feel in that painting that he didn't use rulers and machines and stuff to do that. You know, you feel if he draws a straight line, that person knew how to draw a straight line, that they weren't using rulers in that painting. You know, there's a humanness to it. And I think in music, we're going to start seeing what it means to be human maybe become more valuable. But to me, in the age of AI, a lot of the human music already sounds like AI. You know, you hear people singing and you hear it altered. All the pitches is being fixed, and so a lot of times what I feel like is going to be the people that have grown up through music and remember how it is can reach back to young people growing up, learning on YouTube, learning how to do all the tricks, but not knowing how to do what the instrument is asking you to do. So, like, what I mean by that is, like, at Vic's camps, he'll have a jam camp, which just encourages people to come and jam, because there's so many people who've only practiced in their room by themselves and to records and videos, but they haven't really done it with people. So they're playing the bass and they learn how to do all of these tricks and pops and licks and taps, but don't know the fundamental feeling of the bass is to hold up the music when you play with other people. See what I mean? So it's like,
Sure.
it's like, eating a cake and all you know how to do is make the icing in the outside of the cake. But, you don't know how to make that cake that's underneath all of that. And I just think going forward, people that know jazz reaching back to people at hip hop who love jazz, but don't know how to do it. Reaching back, everybody's reaching back to what it means to be human. And I was going to say that, reacting to an earlier question when you asked about what is the state of mind when we get on stage.
Sure.
To me, I heard actors say that, when you're doing a movie or a comedian is doing a joke, it's like you don't start the joke without knowing what the punchline is. There's a punchline that you already know, so you get ready to take the audience on a journey to that punchline. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
The same thing with the movie. If you start a movie trying to write a story and you don't know what your punchline is or what your story is trying to say, then you can just meander. And so when we get coming on stage, it's like all of these songs are like little movies and stuff, and we get ready to take you on a journey, and we feel like we can make you happy with what we're getting ready to tell you. With this, there's going to be punchlines in these songs, rhythm lines, and we're going to hit you with it, in ways that are surprising, and ways that are energetic, ways that's going to make you smile, ways that are going to make you go aha. And so we're like tour guides, on a musical adventure, on an imaginative adventure, because we're going to hit punchlines that remind you of songs that you heard before, that's going to introduce you to things that maybe you never heard before. So in that way, it's kind of like you get your mind, and it's like an actor getting ready for a role. This song has a certain punchline and a theme, and we're going to punch it to you in a way that you can't miss it. And to me, that's one of the powers of music. As we go forward, I think the future of music is in the hands of musicians pulling it together. But the power of pulling that together is that music is a message that lasts through time. The way that the music of Mozart has outlasted everything that happened in his era. When I ask people, how many people in the audience know who Mozart is? It doesn't matter how young the crowd is. Most of the hands go up when I say, do you remember who Mozart is, right?
Sure.
So he wrote his music, right? And so now, when I say, well, now, does anybody know who was the president or who was the king? Who was the leader during Mozart's time? All the hands go down, right? They remember the music. So going forward through AI, the music that humans come up with is going to have an imprint of what it means to be human in there. And I think as we go forward, right now, a lot of people are amazed and engaged with the toys of it. But through the core of it, what it means to be human, I think is what's going to cut through. The last thing I was going to say is that sometimes I encourage a young musician. I remember this young musician, he was singing, and I heard him relying on auto-tune. And I said, man, I know you can hit that note, man. I want you to go for that note, because you going for that note is like Stevie Wonder going for his high note, Whitney Houston going for her high note, Aretha Franklin going for that high note. And what it means to be human, I'll leave you with this thought, is that with all our technology, with all our tools, with all of that, do we hear any singers using that's singing better than Aretha Franklin?
Right.
That's singing better than Al Green, that make you feel more than Sam Cooke, that make you feel what Whitney Houston, because Whitney Houston had that whole thing too, right? All of our technology is not out singing those people. And so we want to dig into what it is within ourselves, even if it's Bob Dylan who can't sing. See what I mean? AI is not supposed to fix that.
Yes.
AI tries to fix Bob Dylan, it's just going to mess it up. Right? So what it means to be human is something very special, and it will outlast everything that's happening on the news, and it will probably outlast AI, what AI comes with it, that kind of thing. So I just want to leave you with that thought. I know Red's got some thoughts. This is Roy. Yeah.
Thanks, Roy. Beautiful.
Yeah. Cool. Any other questions?
The only one I have, I know we're getting close to time here, and I've been asking a lot of folks this lately. What are the elements that you think make up a healthy music scene in a locality?
I'm gonna see if Regi has any thoughts on that. What makes up a healthy music scene in a locality, like a Roanoke or a Newport News or something like that, or Nashville? Is that what you mean?
That is, and I'd love to get your input since you're traveling all around and seeing, pretty much all the different scenes as you go.
I'll start it right. For me, it comes down to people. For me, it comes down to people and environment, but it's how people respond to the environment. If you think about the music that came out of slavery, it was because of that situation that made people respond. The early jazz music, before Miles and those people, and up through Miles. A lot of the times, where you live will inspire what you talk about. It'll inspire you how you live, where you live, and it'll also inspire the music that you play.
Absolutely, thank you.
This is Joseph. The way I see it, when you say a healthy music scene, we're talking about a scenario. A healthy music scenario has to include the opportunity to learn music, which means the opportunity to have access to instruments. It means the opportunity to hear music, which means the opportunity to be able to afford to go see it. It means the opportunity to have places to play music. The scene involves a lot of different levels. Dayton, Ohio is one of the big hubs of R&B music, where Heat Wave and Slave and the Ohio Players and the Jazz Band and the JBs all came from this one little place. But what they talked about was that they were all in school and they had the opportunity to play horns and play pianos, and the school provided those instruments, so that it had the foundation of a healthy music scene. Places to go hear music, places to play music, places to create music, venues to go hear it. All of those things are necessary for it. Places to learn it too. And teachers that can make a wage teaching it. All of those are integral parts of a healthy music scene. This is Roy. I was going to take it before Rez takes it. But I think with a healthy music scene, it's going to be people doing creative things that are attracting people to come to that scene. Like in Nashville, when they left like in the Fleptones, we came out, we were just doing something just super creative, not because we had to do it, but just because that's what we were going to do. And that scene came out at the same time that Take Six came out, and they were doing their thing. And so now you got people like Edgar Meyer, Mark O'Connor, different people who are like, going for music at a very high level, and that starts attracting people. So now, like in Nashville, you see all kinds of high-level musicians and people are just coming there because it's a healthy scene. And one big thing that I think the healthy scene is when you have mentor people, teachers that can help teach people. I'm saying this because I want to pass the phone to Reg because he teaches people. But that healthy scene happens when you have like Victor doing his camps and somebody like Divinity comes to the camp, and then from that camp, she ends up going on the road playing bass on Big Show. And then from there, she goes on there and she ends up being the bass player for Beyonce. Right? So there's a healthy music scene that nurtured someone who, only had maybe one song or one thing and it encouraged her to develop herself. A healthy music scene is like Regi, my brother Regi, who teaches. We see the people coming in his bedroom and they come out changed, able to to really add to what's going. So I'm just going to say something because I know Regi's not going to mention it, right? But I'm just saying all the way to people, like when you hear bands like Animals as Leaders, you hear people thumping on the guitar. Everybody thought you could only thump on the bass, right? But now people are becoming aware that you can thump on the guitar. So you see somebody like Animals as Leaders, that's a very healthy music scene going on in there because they've been influenced by a mentor figure, in the back showing them that different things were possible. And so I just wanted to set that up because I want to give you the phone to my brother Regi, who sees that healthy music scene because he's planting the seeds. Like we're planting these seeds, and so we can already foreshadow and see what's getting ready to happen. It happened in our garage with people like Carter Beauford, right? The drummer for Dave Matthews Band. See what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like he was hanging with me and Billy Drummond, man, and we're just listening to all these drummers, man, Max Roach and all of that. And that influenced Carter not to take his football scholarship, right? Carter said, I had a full ride, but I said, nope, I'm going to stick with the drums. And see, that created a healthy music scene. I go to see Dave Matthews, and I'm still amazed to see how that scene went from, just jamming, to now the whole world is enjoying that music scene. So I just think that we're tag teaming with each other. And with that, I want to pass you to my brother Regi, who teaches, and he sees that scene growing up.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. This is Regi. This is Mr. Jason.
It is. Nice to talk to you, Regi. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been great just listening. I always like to hear the views. I always have a lot to say, but let me get your question again. What is it you actually? Let me understand your question one more time.
Certainly. I've been interviewing several people and I've been asking it in different forms, I guess, but I'm curious as to what elements you think make up a healthy arts or music scene in a locality. And I mean like Roanoke or Newport News or, a smaller place like that probably, or even Nashville, a bigger place.
Oh, like in a city, what makes a healthy music scene in a city? What makes a city like a music center or healthy?
Yeah, I guess what elements are involved when, new things are happening and, people are being inspired and it's not, it doesn't have a stale feeling where it's the same things going on all the time. I guess that's where I'm going with that.
Yeah, well, to make a city more of a healthy music scene, the industry can help, more clubs or, there's so many, everywhere I've gone my whole life, especially in America, there's been like a healthy music scene, but a lot of times it's not in the clubs. There might not be outlets, but people used to play in garages all the time. Like we lived in Newport News, right? Which to me didn't have a healthy music scene as far as a city compared to New York or Nashville. But the people made a scene. I mean, we had great legendary musicians, and so we helped create a music scene, and other people were there. People would come to our garage, hope I'm answering your question right. I know many places where there could be, a lot of people are moving to Nashville right now because they're saying where they're from is not a healthy music scene.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? A lot of people in the old days, 20s, 30s, 40s, moved to New York because it had more of a thriving, more clubs to play, more opportunity, right? But where they came from, they had great musicians all over. A lot of musicians, Miles Davis came from St. Louis, from a very healthy music environment, but there was no music scene. You see what I mean? So everywhere you go, especially in the Americas, and especially in North America, in my opinion, to me, North America is where the new trends and everything for the world start. You see what I mean? But not in all the states do you see healthy, thriving city music scenes. But it's underground. Let's take rap. Rap just, it was underground. It wasn't really a healthy music scene, but it was happening.
I'm sorry.
Down in Washington, D.C., which is still not really a big industry, but you go to D.C., you go to Rock Creek Park and these places, these guys are bouncing. You hear it out of your car. So it depends on what you mean by scene. The music is there.
Certainly.
There. But as far as club, the industry, some cities are faster than others. Nashville has to be a really growing one, which I'm really happy about. To me, it feels like Nashville feels like the new New York, the way New York used to be back in the day.
Would you say it's the venues themselves are integral in attracting the music that's already there being made and music from the outside that's being made?
Yeah, because the musicians want to make a living and they want to be seen. And they all want, a lot of them want to be big, want to be on television, things like that. So to me, we need more, a lot more. And that's one of my goals, to eventually make a lot more music scene. To inspire musicians to keep going a lot. Like I teach all the time. So I know a lot of great musicians. I've helped create a lot of good musicians, but I don't have a way for them to really be in a thriving music scene. It's a lot of just personal love on your own.
Well, I appreciate it. I know we've gone over the time, gentlemen, and I'm glad to wrap it up. And I'm certainly looking forward to your show at the Jefferson Center on the 14th, and I can't wait to be there to check it out.
Yeah, I hope that answers your question. I was trying to narrow down here.
You absolutely did. Thank you.
Jason, this is Joseph. I had my last sentence to this thriving music scene.
Sure.
The components of a thriving music scene is creativity and the opportunity to use that creativity. And if those two things are there in abundance, those are the main two criteria for creating the scene. Without the creativity and the opportunity to make something from that creativity, it's hard to have the scene. This is what, let me just add my last 2 cents is that, again, looking at mentors, teaching people, a lot of times we're just teaching people to be strong enough to go with their inspiration, because a lot of that creating scenes, having people inspired enough to just do it, And so I see people that's going to be strong enough, you know what I mean? Plan that's strong enough to do your thing, and that will help you create the scene where you're at. So.
Awesome. I agree completely. That is all. That's all of my questions, guys. I don't want to, overstay my welcome with you.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jason. We really appreciate it. Thanks for doing what you do. You help the team.
Thank you.
What you do, writing about it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, and it's been a pleasure speaking with all of you. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to seeing you here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, you're very welcome. We'll see you soon. Make sure you introduce yourself.
I sure will. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Bye-bye.